White Claw, I can't stop. Fuck around, make my 40 pop.
Alright guys, we got some spoilers about episode 179, episode 180. We are finally getting the manga content being adapted to the Boruto anime, and I'm pretty sure everybody here is going to be extremely excited for that. Now the first one is going to be episode 179, as I said. The title is going to be Victor's Scheme. Now into the actual paragraph it says, Boruto can't help himself but be overjoyed. Not only did his father Naruto praise him for his distinguished contribution during his mission in the Valley Country, but Naruto also promised to have a personal matchup with him as a form of reward. Meanwhile, plans within the mysterious organization named Kata are in process of heading on to the next stage. Their project concerns something that they call an essential vessel for their group. However, Victor has different aspirations. He's been very careful in trying to keep his true intentions and real nature of being exposed to the other key members and to the leader of Kata, Jigen. Victor has been keenly aware that his own body will be approaching its limits soon. However, he must try to achieve his own dream at any cost. And so Victor has decided to work out a new plan in order to attain it. Alright, now this episode right here confirmed, like, a whole bunch of manga content is going to be going on in this episode right here. Now the first thing that I do want to talk about is, of course, Boruto being praised by Naruto and them actually sparring in the upcoming episodes. Now this is very good, mainly because in the Boruto manga we've seen Boruto and Naruto spar, but we didn't necessarily know exactly why they were sparring. And the Boruto anime is doing what it always does, unsurprisingly, which is giving a lot of context to the things that actually do happen in the Boruto manga, and I expect that to happen a lot more in the future. But regardless, I think that fight right there is probably going to look amazing in the Boruto anime. I really hope that they're going to put some great animation behind it and actually give us some more good clashes and cuts that we did see in the Boruto manga. This isn't my first time talking about Boruto and Naruto fighting. I talked about this before, and I talked about how I really want to see this actually go down, not only because it's like a father and son thing, but also to actually see how far Boruto has progressed. We understand that Naruto can actually end Boruto's life in like a second or so, but regardless, it's still kind of nice to see exactly how Boruto would stand up against the elites of the elites, especially Naruto, even though he is going to be taken kind of easy on Boruto. But regardless, another thing that we do have to talk about is, of course, the Kata organization basically saying that they have some concerns about the vessel for their group. Another thing in the Boruto manga, one of the things that I really hope that we get to see exactly what goes on with the vessel and how the problem actually arises with the vessel. Now, the people who did actually read the Boruto manga, I'm not necessarily trying to spoil a lot of things in terms of the Boruto manga, so I'm probably not going to necessarily spoil this, but regardless, I really hope they show us the backstory about how this thing actually came to be. And not only that, to also see Victor's interactions with Jigen, because as we see right here, Victor's not all about the Kata organization. We talked about this before, especially when Victor was actually making the bootlegged god tree, and we talked about how his loyalties aren't necessarily 100% with the Kata organization. It turns out that we were completely right. Victor pretty much has no intentions of being 100% faithful to the Kata organization, and from these spoilers is basically telling us because Victor understands that his body is kind of breaking down. Now I kind of seen some people actually say on Twitter that this could possibly be because of the scientific technology, and that all the scientific technology that Amada does use isn't necessarily perfected yet. I wouldn't necessarily go that far as of yet. I'm not ruling that completely out, but the reason why I'm not necessarily going that far in this particular situation is because Victor himself is an old man. Victor has been old for a very long time. This right here can just be an age thing. For all we know, Victor can literally be like 90 years old. We have absolutely no idea. So because of that, I'm going to reserve my judgments as of right now and wait till we do actually get to see some more things in terms of if the scientific technology from Amado is actually breaking down. Another thing that I do want to point out, it still hasn't necessarily been made absolutely clear that Victor even has scientific technology. One thing that I do want to remind everybody is the fact that ninjutsu is a very weird thing. Of course, we've seen Amado grow different limbs. Of course, we've seen Amada regenerate, but it's not necessarily 100% confirmed that right there is directly a correlation from scientific technology. We've seen that happen before, strictly based off of ninjutsu. So of course, until we actually do see some actual proof that Victor does have a whole bunch of scientific technology, we can't necessarily say his body is breaking down because of the scientific technology. But regardless, this episode, in my opinion, is probably going to be a very good one. But the next episode is going to be episode 180. The title of episode 180 is going to be The Assassin Mujino. Into the actual paragraph, it says, it's been arranged for Saratobi Konohamaru to leave the village for a pressing mission. Team 7, Boruto, Sada, and Mitsuki will have to carry out their missions in the interim just as a 3-person team until his mission comes to an end. During that time, Boruto happens to meet the Jonin Mujino in the main city streets by sheer coincidence. Then Boruto gets invited by Mujino to come over to his house. Boruto is shocked by the state of Mujino's abode. Not only does it seem to be quite dilapidated, but his room is barren and dreary too. However, Mujino then begins to explain to Boruto Boruto as to why he decides to live in these kinds of room conditions. Alright, now episode 180, it seems like it's not necessarily going to be as interesting as episode 179, but as I said before, I would not necessarily rule out the interesting things not actually being in these spoilers, mainly because they don't necessarily want to spoil everything interesting about the episodes. So I would not rule out like a 2 or 5 minute cutscene to where we get to see the Kado organization talking amongst themselves, or even Kawaki himself with the Kado organization, possibly even some flashbacks. I would not rule that out at all. But in terms of this actual episode right here, it seems like Konohama right now is going on a separate mission. From what we've seen from the Boruto manga, it seems like Konohama is probably going to be investigating this quote-unquote vessel. Now, as I said, I don't want to spoil too much, but from what we do know from the Boruto manga, Konohama and Mujino were actually snooping around the vessel in the future time. So I'm pretty sure Konohama is probably going to be going out on that similar exact mission. Of course, Boruto, Sada, and Mitsuki, those three themselves are actually going out on a mission as well. Now, a new thing that we are seeing in this episode that we did not actually see in the Boruto manga is, of course, Boruto and Mujino hanging out together, and rightfully so. The Boruto and Mujino hanging out together, that right there isn't necessarily plot relevant or extremely plot relevant, but one of the things that we do understand from the Boruto manga is that they want to build up the character of Mujino badly, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys know why. I'm just gonna leave it right there, and I want to applaud them, man, because this right here is definitely a very good way to do so. Having Mujino and Boruto, the star of the show, spending some quality time together is definitely not a bad way to actually build the character of Mujino, so I applaud them for that. One of the things that Organic Dinosaur did actually say is that episode 181 will actually skip a week. So this episode right here is going to be coming out on December 27th, but episode 181 is going to be coming out on January 10th. So it's going to be 14 days in between those two episodes, and I think that's going to be extremely fitting because, in my opinion, I think that episode 181 is supposed to be really good. Probably has a lot of things pertaining to the Kado organization. In my opinion, I think they're just taking a week, man, because of course it's New Year's and they probably want to celebrate New Year's amongst themselves. But I do want what you guys think about these episodes in the comment section below, and give me your opinion. Which episodes are you guys going to be most excited for? In my opinion, I think it has to be episode 179. This is going to be the episode where potentially, I mean, I don't know, maybe Boruto and Naruto actually do spar in this episode. I think they are potentially, but regardless, I think Boruto and Naruto's interactions, or with Naruto actually praising Boruto, would probably be a very good sight to see. And of course, we have actual confirmed scenes with the Kado organization actually talking amongst themselves about the vessel. So I'm pretty sure episode 179 is going to be a very good episode. But as I said, let me know what you guys think. It's been your boy Baara B, and we out.
It's a knife.